It's midday. I'm Steve White. Time for top ag news on the Rural Radio Network. Limited work continues at Tyson Foods through July. In a letter to the state of Nebraska, Tyson advises although the Lexington Beef Complex will permanently close, they're providing notice a certain number of team members will stay past the closure date. A Tyson Foods spokesperson tells us limited further processing will continue at our Lexington facility during this transition period. End quotes. The letter to the state says employment has been extended for 300 team members, with the last finishing up in the end of July. That's less than 10% of the previous headcounts. The closure of Tyson's beef packing plant in Lexington continues to ripple through cattle country, but analysts say tight supply drives the market more than the lack of processing capacity. J.J. Lobby with Agri Management Systems says the cash market has actually moved higher.
A lot of people might think that with that plant being closed and we're going to see less competition out there in the negotiated cash market, just meaning that there's fewer bidders out there bidding on the cattle. You know, theoretically should mean maybe some softer prices, but I'll just point out this week, for example, that plant's not killing, Amarillo's not killing as many, and here we are $2 to $3 or $4 higher than a week ago.
Lobby says there simply aren't enough market-ready cattle to fill existing capacity. He joined us on Weekly Market Roundup. Tightening cattle and beef supplies are reflected in USDA's first cattle on feed report for the year, as we hear from USDA livestock economist Michael McConnell.
Well, feedlot supplies and the number of animals in feedlots are relatively tight. That distribution is skewed a little bit more towards more market-ready animals that are heavier and have been in feedlots for a long time, ready to be marketed as beef.
As home to several major agribusinesses, Minnesota companies are weighing in on Border Patrol activities in the states. That includes Cargill, CHS, Land O'Lakes, and Hormel, who have all signed onto a statement that calls for an immediate de-escalation in that state. These companies say Border Patrol action has resulted in widespread disruptions. Minnesota has tens of thousands of food processing-related jobs. The Nebraska Beef Council is seeking candidates in 4 districts to serve on its board of directors beginning in 2027. Volunteer directors represent beef producers in overseeing how checkoff dollars are invested in promotion, research, and education at the state, national, and international levels. These 4-year terms begin in January 2027. Election materials must be postmarked by June 15th. Producers in 4 districts are eligible. For more information, go to nebeef.org. Livestock producers and crop consultants, mark your calendar for an international event coming to Nebraska. Alex Makovica tells us more.
A national manure management event is headed to Nebraska, bringing hands-on demos and national expertise right to producers' backyard. This will happen at the North American Manure Expo, happening in mid-July at the Wayne County Fairgrounds. The national event will focus on nutrient management, manure application, and new technology. The expo, they said, will feature live demonstrations and educational sessions, highlighting Nebraska's leadership in manure management research and education.
Thanks, Alex. For more ag news, including